Want to stay ahead of fraudsters and across the latest scams? At Which, we helped prevent an estimated £1.8 million in scam losses last year thanks to our Scam Alert newsletter. And each week we provide more information on the latest scam activity, helping protect you, your family and your friends. Stay in the know and avoid falling victim to scammers by joining over 450,000 people already signed up to our free Which Scam Alerts. To join them, head to which.co.uk/scamalert and sign up today.
Hello and welcome to Which Money Shorts. Inspired by our Which Shorts podcast, these episodes drop every other Monday and bring you a taster of some of the best money advice taken straight from the Which Money magazine. These episodes are narrated by me, Lucia Ariano, host of the Which Money podcast, and we'll be back with your regular money podcast episode this Friday. In this episode, we'll be looking into equity release, how and when to consider it, and whether it's worthwhile. This article was originally written by Josh Wilson. Which member Philip Stranks told us he released £62,500 of equity from his property, which was valued at £275,000. But the settlement figure is already £95,000. He says, "I am now stuck in a catch-22 situation where I can't sell because of the extortionate settlement figure, and I can't raise any more cash because of property devaluation." Now, equity release promises money in your pocket with no monthly repayments and no need to leave your home. But as Philip's case shows, the costs can be high. The most common type is a lifetime mortgage, when you borrow a portion of your home's value and repay it when you sell the property, die or go into care. A home reversion involves you selling some or all of your home while you live in it. It's vital you do your sums. The older you are, the more you can borrow, but the maximum lifetime mortgage size is around 60% of the value of your property. If you take a lump sum, then interest will be charged on all of it at a fixed rate. If you take chunks of cash when you need it, known as income drawdown, you only pay interest, which can vary each year on the money you've taken. Either approach can be very expensive as the interest rolls up year on year. As long as the provider is registered with the Equity Release Council, ERC, the debt will never exceed the value of the property, but you won't be able to pass on your home. It's possible to pay off a lifetime mortgage early, but there are often steep penalties for doing so. You can usually make partial repayments each year, penalty-free though. Our survey of 1,012 Which members in April 2024 found that just 4% had ever taken out equity release. Of the remaining members, a further 6% said they would consider it in the future. Of those who took out an equity release loan, 49% did so to pay for home improvements. 27% did it to pay off existing debts. 22% wanted to help fund their retirement, and 19% did so to help family members. Based on these results, we've crafted 3 scenarios to show what taking out a lifetime mortgage could mean for your finances and your home. In each case, we use the following assumptions: an annual fixed interest rate of 7%, a property value of £280,660, and annual house price growth of 4.32%. These scenarios are just a starting point. Before using equity release, you're required to get professional advice from a certified advisor. Scenario 1, extending your home. Home improvements can come in all shapes and sizes, from a bathroom revamp to a new conservatory. For the sake of this scenario, we'll assume that you want to add a small extension to your home. It's always a sensible idea to get quotes from 3 tradespeople before you commit. As a starting point, a single-storey pitched roof extension of 4 by 4 metres costs £51,750 on average, according to the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. Let's say you decide to borrow this amount through a lifetime mortgage held against your home. This amounts to an 18.4% loan-to-value ratio, LTV. After 10 years, your debt will already have almost doubled to £101,800. In the case of a 65-year-old who lives until the age of 85, the debt pile will have ballooned to £200,256, or 30.6% of the value of their home. For a 55-year-old, it will have swelled to an eye-watering £393,934 by age 85, and would consume nearly 40% of their home's value. Bear in mind, this assumes a fairly buoyant property market where your home's value grows by 4.32% each year. But this growth isn't guaranteed. A more subdued market with an annual growth rate of 2% would see a 65-year-old owing nearly half the value of their home. A 55-year-old would end up on the hook for more than 3/4 of their home's value. Scenario 2, helping family. A typical example of helping a family member would be giving a younger relative enough money to get onto the housing ladder. According to the property site Zoopla, the average deposit paid by a first-time buyer for a 3-bed home in 2023 was £34,500. This amounts to an LTV of 12.3% against our assumed property value. For a 65-year-old, by the time they reach 85, the debt will have grown to £133,504, or 20.4% of their property's eventual value. For a 55-year-old, the debt will hit £262,623 by the time they reach 85, equal to just over a quarter, 26.3% of their home's value. In a more subdued market, the sums are far less favourable. The 65-year-old would end up owing just under a third of their home's value, and the 55-year-old over half. As a quick example of how even small partial repayments can dramatically reduce your final bill, if our 55-year-old were to pay back just £1,200 each year, their final debt would be £141,335 instead of £262,623. One alternative is to act as the guarantor for a younger relative's guarantor mortgage. This could enable them to borrow more at no cost to the guarantor, unless the borrower misses a mortgage payment, in which case the guarantor is liable. Scenario 3, funding retirement. Putting a number on this one is tricky, but our own research last year into retirement funding found that the average single-person household needs about £20,000 per year for a comfortable retirement. Let's say you want to fund 25%, £5,000 of that each year through an equity release drawdown loan to top up income from pensions. Drawdown equity release works slightly differently in that you only pay interest on the amount you draw, while the rest sits in reserve. Interest rates are usually variable. For simplicity's sake, we'll assume a rate of 7% each year. A 65-year-old wanting to draw £5,000 each year would end up with debts of £224,326 by the time they reach 85, equal to just over a third of their home's eventual value. A 55-year-old would end up owing a huge £510,365, equal to 51.1% of their home's value. It's here that the risk posed by a subdued property market becomes unnervingly apparent. We found the 55-year-old would owe 100.4% of their home's value, though at least with the ERC's rule that the debt can't exceed the home's value, this falls to 100%. The 65-year-old would owe 53.8% of their home's value. Consider the rent-a-room scheme to reduce the amount you'll need to borrow. Make sure you're getting all the benefits such as pension credit and council tax discounts you're eligible for. People living alone usually get 25% off. Bear in mind that the income from equity release can impact your eligibility for some means-tested benefits. Equity release is most suitable if you're older, own an expensive property outright that's expected to increase in value, and you don't intend to pass it on when you die. Even if all of these apply to you, downsizing may be a better alternative. Our recent investigation found you can potentially unlock hundreds of thousands of pounds by moving to a smaller property, even after paying stamp duty. Remortgaging is another option. Increasing numbers of lenders offer retirement interest-only mortgages, RIOs. These enable you to pay off the interest of the loan each month with the original value of what you borrowed repaid when you die or move out. For smaller amounts, borrowing via an unsecured personal loan or interest-free purchase credit card could be much cheaper than equity release, as long as you can make the agreed repayments. If you have a spare room in your home that you'd be able to rent out, the government's Rent-a-Room scheme lets you earn up to £7,500 a year tax-free. The tax exemption is automatic, so you only have to fill in a tax return if you earn more than £7,500 in any year. Thank you to Josh Wilson for that original article, first published in Which Money magazine's July edition. If you want to subscribe and get the magazine delivered directly to your door, click the link in the description of today's show. For more expert money advice, subscribe to our free newsletter and tune in to our weekly money podcast with new episodes that drop every Friday. And for now, goodbye. I'll see you next time.
If you're enjoying this Which podcast, then you might also be interested in listening to other podcasts that we have to offer, like Which Shorts. Which Shorts is our weekly podcast that brings you a flavour of what the Which magazine has to offer, as well as our dedicated travel, gardening and tech magazines too. Each week we handpick a review, investigation or feature that was printed in one of our magazines and written by one of our award-winning writers. We then bring it to life on the podcast. So, to get a taster of what Which members get in our suite of magazines, be sure to listen to Which Shorts wherever you get your podcasts.